monument or some kind of commemorative piece, right? It's designed to pay tribute to someone, probably from a bygone era, or the greatness of someone that was here, right? Commemorative, as in we collectively remember something, right? This idea is exactly what the museum does. It is a spectacle. It's larger than life. But it's also something that helps us create a linkage between us and other people. And I thought that was a particularly good insight. You know, there is a great, what museums allow us to do is make connections with people that are long gone. It helps us make connections with eras that are long gone, even where there were no humans, right? When was the last time you felt, I think, that dinosaurs were as real as they could be, more than standing in front of a fossil? I just don't think there is. As much as, watching Jurassic Park is great, and there have been so many movies that have had so many realistic monsters, and you can go see that in IMAX 3D. You can even see documentaries created for IMAX 3D while you're there at the museum in many cases now. But there's nothing like standing in front of one of those giant fossils. This is real. This is huge. This is amazing. What would this be like 65 million years ago if I'm standing in front of this monster? And I think that creates a connection between us and these things that are so far gone. But more than that, the other thing that Have a Commodore was talking about is that it allows us to have collective memory. Not just that we connect to the object itself, but that together. So the Smithsonian is the National Museum of the United States of America. Therefore, it is in many ways bringing together the best projection of the country in one place, right? The idea that we as a country remember these things as being important. It's why the Holocaust Museum was so cool while I was there this time. You actually get to see why Americans, specifically as an American, I love the idea that I get to go see that there is this American commemoration of something that was so important for us to remember. That's important, folks. I'm not going to sit here and wave some kind of nationalist flag. I'm not interested in that. What I'm saying is that it becomes important. You understand what's important to people and to a collective people for a particular reason, right? I've been to the State Museum of Texas, for example. It's a wonderful place because they remember things of what Texans would feel important and what is important to Texans. I'm not a Texan, but I've seen it and I know I appreciate that fact. It's different than anything that I've ever seen. So I really like that idea. I think it's great. Akira VGA brought up a really cool point, which is brought up at every single museum and every commemorative, I think pretty much every commemorative monument I've ever seen. And that is that it's there also to inspire future generations to take up the flag, whatever that flag might be. Could be a particular political cause, for example. Could be to study science, right? I mean, I remember being so interested in the Air and Space Museum as a child and thinking to myself, man, this would be amazing. It helps you to dream big. It inspires you to have really, really big dreams. And I think how many astronauts, that have gone into space with NASA were inspired by the moon landing or the Apollo missions, or even before that, just orbiting the Earth, or the idea from Galileo that the stars, that we are not at the center of the universe, and that there are so many things to explore and see, and the vastness of space. These kinds of things are inspirational. And I think museums are there to inspire us as well. And that is one of the reasons why they want to continue to bring people in. So the role of the museum is to inspire people to want to do other things. And as much as you see those kind of internet commercials now, like, all the ISPs in this country, they're all trying to say, oh yeah, look, this inspires wonder in our children. It's like, come on. It inspires wonder just as much as it allows them to play Call of Duty, right? But a museum is not like that. A museum isn't all about allowing people to play Call of Duty. The museum is specifically there to inspire people to do great things. And I think that's awesome. Something bigger than ourselves. Again, with the collaboration. Sit Yo, again, one of our first time commenters, brought up a great idea. And I can't believe we're talking about this in the Weekly Wringer, but how awesome is this? The concept of the sublime. I thought this was a fantastic idea because specifically when you get into art, it is a little unique. It's different. It's different in as much as we have a collective kind of appreciation for art, right? But in as much as we look at something and it is beautiful and it is nuanced and it is unique and it is maybe even one of a kind, right? But still the creation of humanity. Forgetting about science museums and things like that for a moment. There is the notion of the sublime in that. You see something, and it's touching. It's emotional, and I think that is incredible. That objects created by human beings can inspire that kind of feeling in us, and I think this has more to do with what it means to intrinsically be human than almost anything we've talked about here today. Maybe except commemoration, which the sublime kind of relies on that as well, because we have a collective memory as a culture. We have, even kind of a collective memory, as a race of people in terms of humanity in general. We have an evolutionary memory, as it were, and we see the history of what humanity has created artistically, from cave paintings all the way to grave sites or things like this, where there is kind of this concept of the sublime that I think is a beautiful thing. And remember, folks, the sublime is not necessarily about perfection or the creation of the perfection of form, or it is about, I think, the appreciation of beauty in something that inspires it. It is about the recognition in something that gives it a very powerful meaning to humanity. And if a museum doesn't speak to those kinds of things, then I think it's probably not really a very good museum. So with that, I'll wrap it up. I'll wrap up the comments from you guys. It's clear, right? Museums still continue to have a role in the 21st century, in the internet age. There's no question about that. But at the same time, it's also, I think, changing and evolving. And just like technology evolves and changes, museums are going to have to change and evolve in order to kind of facilitate the kind of learning that our children have now and that people have as adults. I mean, as an adult, I have a tremendous appreciation for the Smithsonian that it's not that I lacked before necessarily, because I always loved it, but it's different. It's strange. It's changing. It's like going to Disney World when you're a kid versus going to Disney World as an adult. You see the same thing, but you see it through a completely different kind of lens. And that, I think, speaks intrinsically to the notion of museums. It's a part of what a museum really should be. So I don't think they're going anywhere. I think the role is to be that tangible, experiential place to go where we commemorate great achievements in culture, science, and learning, and it changes and evolves over time. And one of the things I love about it is that it kind of dispels mythology, the popular myth, those kinds of things. And the fact that happens, I think, for me is fantastic. I love to see knowledge and experience come together in really cool and lively ways, which is exactly what a museum should do, in my opinion. All right, so great conversation, by the way, folks. I am, of course, always impressed by the real level of conversation we have here on the Weekly Wringer. I don't take a ton of credit for that, but it just warms my heart to see you guys commenting in what is, I think, a very intelligent way, by the way, on the internet, because there's a lot of crap out there, right? But we talk about things here that I think are very worthy of conversation in great ways, and that is a credit and a testament to you guys. All right, enough patting you all on the back. It's time to move on to the next topic of conversation for next week. So what I wanted to do, I did want to ask a couple questions about CES, and I wanted to do it when I was in full voice and could actually really talk about it. So interesting to CES this year was that there was gaming kind of hijacked part of the show. Does not normally happen. Normally, gaming news comes out at E3, and if not exclusively at E3, it comes out at PAX or something like that, where we learn about a new console, we learn about a new technology or a new game or whatever the case might be. Well, this year's CES, in true surprise fashion, not a way that anybody had predicted, really stole the show in terms of gaming. there were a lot of really interesting gaming entrants this year. I won't run through all of them because I want to talk about a couple of them, but instead of doing that kind of as a CES roundup or something, what I want to do is ask you guys a question for next week. So I don't know how many of you really followed CES, but one of the things that really came about as a complete surprise, no one saw this coming, was the NVIDIA Shield, Project Shield. And for those of you that haven't seen it, you should go take a look at it. It's an interesting concept, but essentially it is a console shaped like a controller within a 5-something-inch screen attached to it as well. That is powered by NVIDIA innards. By that I mean a Tegra 4 processor, which is supposedly the fastest mobile processor on the market today. And basically this thing offers the power of playing any Android games you would possibly want to use on it, which is probably a waste of its processing power, all the way up to actually being able to stream your PC-based games to your mobile handheld device. Interesting concept, right? So you have NVIDIA, who has never produced a console before, ever, to my knowledge. They've only been a PC gaming, and even then only a peripheral company. They don't even make PCs. But they've decided to get into the hardware business full time to the point of actually creating a console. Now, supposedly this thing is actually going to launch fairly soon. It's very robust, and in the age of leaks and internet rumors, it's amazing that they've been able to keep it this secret this long. But what it does is it shows, I think, a trend that was brought up at CES this year, not just with NVIDIA Shield, but with a couple different manufacturers. And I want to ask you about that this week for this week's Weekly Ringer. So the question for next week will go something like this. What do you think of the single unified console? So what do I mean by that? What I mean is NVIDIA and other companies, including Nintendo, at least that's the rumor, are taking a look at what it means to be a console, what it means to be a dedicated mobile gaming platform, what it means to be a casual gaming platform, and what it takes to be a kind of hybrid entertainment system / gaming platform within the home. And they're kind of, the trend to me, it looks like kind of smushing everything into a unified platform where, and the Vita is kind of a precursor to what Project Shield really offers, which is that it is in its own right, very, very powerful system that will play all the casual and mobile games you would want it to play. But it also packs a huge punch to be able to play all of the games you've ever wanted on your PC. And oh, by the way, all you have to do is hook it up to your TV via a HDMI cable, an HDMI cable, or for smart TVs you can actually stream to them, right? So what you have essentially is one handheld console that is your home entertainment system that you can actually dock to run as your music, movies, all that other kind of thing, but also will play very, very powerful AAA titles right from your PC, and will also be a completely independent mobile gaming console as well. So my question to you guys is, what do you think about all this? Do you think this is the trend, and why or why not? What kind of benefits do you see that holding? What kind of benefits do you think we would forego to take on this kind of a platform? And I think the Wii U has a lot to say about this. I think the Project Shield has a lot to say about this. And the nature of streaming to devices like a Steam box have a lot to say about this. So I want to see what you guys really think about it. I think it's a great a topic of conversation. I'm sure you'll all enjoy it. I'm sure you'll knock it out of the park just like you do every week. So in any case, to wrap up, thank you very much for watching this week. I think it was a wonderful conversation as always. Thank you for being a part of our little community here. Thank you for commenting and keeping the show going. This has been the Weekly Ringer. I am the Commodore from the Clan of the Grey Wolf, and there is no reset button.